Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of December 17th of the Select Board of Donald Belgrade. And if we would start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So, we haven't heard from Melanie, so I assume she will be coming right along. But we do have 4 board members, so we are able to establish a quorum, and we'll go ahead and get started. So I move we open the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Whatever it is, yes.
Yes, we open the meeting. And I'll vote yes, so that's five yeses to open the meeting. So, as you know, the beginning of each of our meetings, we do a time for public comment. So it's if there's something that, someone, wants to bring to the attention of the town, which we, do not have in the agenda tonight, this would be the time to make us aware of it. And then, we, as a general rule, do not take up the matter, at this meeting, but we will schedule for a subsequent meeting. So this is that time. So is there anyone who has any public comment? Sarah?
So I was here, months ago, and I made the, board aware of the, discussions that was gonna be happening at the upcoming, school board meeting, particularly the finance committee meeting. Wednesday, December 4th, the discussions went along, the lines of discussing the forward, balance fund, which we usually call rainy fund, and it's the fund that's created at the end of the year when this money is left over, is where the money goes in, the so-called unassigned fund, monies fund. So anyways, that particular fund in the RSU is very close to 9%, not exactly a 9, but it's gonna be there. And next year, the law is providing to only cap that fund to 5%. So it's gonna go from 9 to 5%. So there was a suggestion from the leadership in the RSU administration to possibly that overflow of 5%, beyond 5%, to at least move $500,000 into a reserve fund. So that said, that was dialogue extensively, almost in an exhausting way. And then also there were members of the public that came in. As it turned out, a person from the budget committee from Boone did show up, and he made a cost to stay what the law calls for, which is returning the monies to the town. Meaning that the overflow, the 5%, is gonna be allocated to the next year budget, which is in a sense, is like returning the money to the town, but with the exception is that it's gonna be applied to the next year budget, so it's not gonna be charged to the towns. So that said, I think everybody present at the end of the meeting, after a huge dialogue about creating this, moving these monies to reserve somehow. At the end of the meeting, what everybody heard was that the monies were gonna be allocated to the towns. Right, so it's gonna reduce our costs or monies that we're gonna be sending to the RSU next year. How that's gonna happen, we don't know yet, in the sense that it's gonna be allocated against the budget, but they have 3 years to do that allocation. So I don't know if it's gonna be in the last year, in the first year, or the second year, or it's gonna be divided equally, or it's gonna be all one, and all done in the first year. We don't know how that's gonna happen. But certainly the word, what we heard loud and clear there is that the overflow beyond the 5% is gonna be allocated to the towns. So those are good news.
Mhm.
A specific detail about that meeting was that the subcommittee meetings in the RSU don't have minutes. There's no minutes of those meetings. What usually happens is that the chair of the committees, present in the regular meeting, and then it's picked up in the minutes of that regular meeting. But the chair of that committee was not present that day. So then there was no formal report in the regular meeting. So I'm a little concerned about that. And, I myself, eventually, within a week or so, I'm gonna send a very nice thank you note to the superintendent about, his commitment, his whole commitment during that meeting, relating the fact that the monies are gonna be sent back to the town. So I'm really pleased with all of it, and, that's what he's gonna hear from me. All right, so to all of you, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, thank you for your attention to that.
I'm just gonna drop this bomb and then bye. Good night, Sarah.
Money to go back to the town, as long as they don't increase the budget by 5%, so you can use that money.
Right,
That would be,
Which is usually what happens.
yeah. Okay, anyone else have any public comment? All right. So let's move on to approving the minutes of the last meeting. Now, we did have one correction. Penny Morell was a remote participant. She could hear us, we couldn't hear her. And I think we assumed she wasn't there, but she was there remotely, so we need to add Penny. Does anyone have any other corrections to the minutes?
I did not.
I didn't.
No.
Okay, so I move that we approve the minutes of the prior meeting with the correction of the remote attendee. Second that. All in favor, Dan?
I'll abstain because I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't here. I'm sorry, Dan. Yeah. Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
So that is 4 yeses and 1 abstention. Okay. So. Move we open unfinished business.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the first thing, Lorna, do you want to do the,
Sure, so, you had already kind of discussed this previously, but you wanted more information. When we did the CBS grant, for the new fire station, we found out that we could not add additional federal funding sources. Which you had allocated 30,000 from rescue funds, for the engineering of the building. So we did check with, legal counsel. I checked with both Phil and MMA to find out if we could, spend those funds on sets of gear, for the fire department. And as you can see, they both felt Phil was not as up on it, but MMA gave a pretty good answer, that would be possible. I asked, Dan and Travis to get us an estimate, which I did include here, for your review. It looks like we could get 9 sets of gear, just under $30,000. We did think that we needed to get all of the reporting updated and completed by the end of this year, but that's not possible. I've learned within the last couple of weeks that the portal is closed, will not open again until April. I did check with MMA and they said it was no problem, just when the portal opens to go in and make an update, so.
okay. So I move that we reallocate the ARPA funds that were earmarked for the fire department engineering plans to instead be spent with fire tech and safety on 9 sets of gear in the amount of $28,215.
A second up.
Any discussion? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. Is Bruce smiling? I can't see. You're sitting right back here and I'm like, I think he's smiling.
I found the back.
Oh.
I have a question. So, Lorna, do we have any other unexpended ARPA funds?
We do. We do. I can get you a list. I can send that out either via email or,
Email,
for the-
yeah,
for
email would be
future
great. I was just trying
Okay.
to, I was just trying to remember,
sure, I'll
you
make
know,
a
what we
note
still
of
have,
that.
so that, because I was, when I read this, about the money has to be obligated, which is
Right.
not just a commitment, it's an actual purchase order. You know, that made me a little nervous about.
Or,
what's-
I think even with thinking of the community center and we look at a couple of different streaming, companies to provide that equipment. Even having an invoice or an estimate or something. So that it shows more than, you know what I mean, just.
Right, then our goodwill
Right.
to do this.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
sort of raised red flag in my
Yeah.
head. Do we have any others that
Yes,
we
we
need to
do.
document?
Yes,
Yep.
Well, we also have any unspent money going to pickleball. And I think there was like $1,800 and change that was,
originally.
So
yeah.
originally
I
to
think
go
it'll
to
be a
them.
little bit more than that now.
so
Right, 'cause
what
now
do
it's
we,
28 and change
Right.
instead of 30, so.
so my question is, what, can we just move that by year end so that it's there?
We can't do it in the portal? Because the portal isn't open, so we
Okay,
can't.
so
re-
have we done
can't
what we
report
need to meet the requirement?
I'm not sure how to meet the requirement for that.
I wonder if we move to put it into the reserve fund, then it would be an obligation. Cause they do have a pickleball reserve fund, right?
Or is that enough? Maybe moving it to a fund is not enough. I don't know. I don't know. Is there like a purchase order that must be
Do you
done?
remember that they got some estimates for cost?
They did.
They
get
did have
estimates
some.
For cost, but they don't have an actual reserve account, I believe.
I think it's like a special
special-
fund.
Oh, they have a
Right.
special fund, oh, yeah, then maybe we should move it, that's, I'm just thinking that we are holding money. We're holding about $17,000-17,000, so if we vote to put it in that fund, does that meet our guideline of obligating it?
That'd be an MMA question, just to be. on the
Yes,
safe
Yeah.
to be
side.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, cause I think, I know things have changed as this is going on, but I know at the beginning you couldn't put it in capital reserve. And I'm not sure if you could do it for a special fund or not, but I know at the beginning of this, when it's all, you know, these money started becoming
Yeah.
available, you could not, you put it into a capital reserve.
Well, and I think originally when we said we would do that for the ARPA money too, that I don't know if we could legally because that pickleball group was not part of the town. Cause they're still a private fundraising group, so we agreed to allocate that. But
Right,
now
but
I think we can reallocate because now they are an official.
now there's a committee, yeah.
Yeah.
So, since we're not gonna meet again before the deadline. Would it be appropriate just to move that those excess funds be obligated to the pickleball fund so that we have a vote on it? If we need to fall back on it,
It doesn't hurt.
what do you
I
think?
can't legally report anything.
Right,
Right,
It would just be noted, obviously, in the minutes.
In
if you
minutes.
Take a vote.
right. And we don't know what the total amount is going to be.
Right.
No, we-
That's the
yeah,
problem.
Right,
Right.
and I'm not
So-
sure if we're accomplishing much by just moving it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think, is there a need for a PO or something to indicate? Not only is the money in the account, but there's been a purchase.
I don't think you have to
No.
show a
No.
purchase.
So,
No, you don't have
so
to.
it's just encumbering the money, so it's,
They want
It's
something
here.
more than just, we're
Like
gonna
our
do
list.
this, or,
within our list.
right,
Well,
But really,
Estimate.
the account's not much more than having a list.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really not, that's why I'm
You're
wondering.
just taking money and shuffling it, that's all you're doing, so.
But I don't we remember that they had some.
I think there was some
estimates or
quotes at
something
one
had a
point.
couple
For
of
like
quotes.
earthwork and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
They did, yeah, actually, the
Corey, do
earthwork
you
was gonna be
remember?
like 80,000
That
to
was
level.
huge.
I only know that because someone told me that.
Corey,
Well,
Cool.
even if they.
do you remember, I thought we got some estimates for earthwork and like that for the pickleball courts?
I think we did, or we requested it, but I'm not sure if we ever received it. I can double check with David tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd have to look way back.
I know in one of my conversations with, I'm not sure, I think maybe Susan. She said that the earthwork to level where they had originally thought they wanted to put the pickleball court was gonna be like $80,000. It was a huge amount of money. So they would have had to have gotten that from somewhere. It would just be to just so that we have that. And I just don't want to end up saying, oh, guess what? We can't do this now,
Right,
even though we
sure.
told you we
Yeah.
would.
Right.
Okay. So are we good? Everyone feel comfortable that we're good?
Yes, do we need to vote on, wait, did we vote on the moving them,
We,
changing the allocation?
we did not.
We did not.
Okay,
We voted on the fire department reallocation.
Right.
okay.
Okay. So, I mean, we did vote at the time that we were obligating it to pickleball, and we now will have a quote to go with it. So-
do we know what happens if the pickleball court doesn't get accepted by the citizens?
Right,
And then if that money comes back to the town?
We would. If we're gonna put a warrant article on for town meeting, we would know the answer to that question prior to the portal opening back up for reporting.
what
Right.
if we allocated that money to Parks and Rec future needs? Pickleball, so it could come back to the Parks and Rec is what I was trying to, I
Yeah,
think is that where you were going?
yeah, just to see, I mean, I don't want it to then be like, oh,
Yeah,
Right.
and then somehow we get dinged because we expended ARPA funds and then,
right,
and now the ARPA funds are being returned.
Right.
right,
I don't think you can allocate it for the future. I think there has to be something specific with a set time.
yeah,
If you get audited, I mean, you're not gonna have to check with. And then they.
Well, check
with
It has
MMA.
to be something
Do what?
tangible that's, this is happening within this amount of time and, you
okay,
know,
Right,
so.
and especially because the way we allocated to pickleball was whatever's left over.
Right.
And all that hasn't been finalized yet, so we don't even know what the amount is going to be.
I think we need MMA
MMA
guidance.
okay,
That's the thing.
all right,
I'll
You would be
reach
so-
out, yeah, I'll reach out to them. Corey, if you think of it, would you check for estimates and I'll do the same?
I will do that first thing tomorrow.
Sir.
The only other way I think you could do it would be to take that money. And spend it specifically that dollar amount on something for Parks and Rec. And then get Parks and Rec to take something out of their budget
right,
as part of a warrant. article
right,
To go,
can go over,
to transfer that over.
yeah,
That way you're tangibly spending it on something.
It's a trade.
Yeah,
Right.
because then if that doesn't go, Parks and Rec still has the money.
they still have the
Right.
money,
Yeah.
right,
So
Yeah, that might
check
work.
the MMA and see what.
see what we could do, so we're good, yeah,
Because my other thought was if we do something, if we have to have something in writing by the end of the year. Then if we need to come in and sign something prior to the end of the year, so that it's
we
documented.
might have to do a quick,
Because the only.
special meeting for
The first one,
5
in
minutes.
January, first to backdate. something,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
Would be front on the last time.
Yeah.
So I just
Okay.
have to, so.
well, if you can check with us, Lauren, if we all have to do a quick whatever, we will. Okay, next item is Historical Society storage at the NBCC. That would be
So
you.
all you, girl.
Yay, hey.
Well,
Would you identify yourself just for the the,
Oh, I'm Sharon Netto. I'm the president of the Belgrade Historical Society. And we reviewed the agreement actually last night at our board meeting. Timing was perfect because I was coming here. We just had one question or thought or comment or whatever, and that was on the length of the term of the agreement. It says that it's for 3 years, and there was concern from the board members that we move everything into the North Belgrade Center, and then 3 years, we have to go through this again and so we wondered if it could be at least a renewal, an automatic renewal for another 3 years or we would have to come back here and redo the agreement again. Is that how it would work, or?
So previous agreements that we've done were multi-year. So now we have a perpetuity article that gives us approval to enter into multi-year agreements. We could possibly do. We could enter into a 1-year agreement with an automatic renewal, as long as if either party decides to back out, we need to give the other 30 days notice.
right, right.
And then that would cover the 3 year, we wouldn't have to bring it up every year, but just every year it would automatically renew.
So we do it for 1 year with an automatic renewal.
Yep, with an automatic renewal.
And that's, yeah,
Unless
and
either party
that's
says-
fine, and
we
if
don't
we
wanna do
need
this.
to do it for just the 3 and come back, that's okay too. It was just.
Oh, no, it isn't, because you would like not to. I was just trying to think in my head of the easiest way.
This has also kind of brought up some other things for us, and so we don't have the insurance in place right now for the North Belgrade Center specifically. We're working on that, but
Right,
it has also brought up for us to review everything we have for insurance, because we don't have an agreement for the space in the center for all seasons. And that I know, and that at my board or I know of, we've never had one, so we're not even sure insurance wise.
Yeah.
Well, we have it for the townhouse, but we don't have it for the center for all seasons, and I'm not sure why, but that was long before I.
We should go back, and I would assume that we have a document, because I distinctly remember that when the library moved to the space it's in now, that we sat here at this board and agreed to give that space over to the Belgrade Historical Society, so they had a place to put some items so the public could view them, as well as keep them safe.
And I found some documents that belong to the Historical Society, just minutes and that type of stuff that has referred to that, but we've not.
but you're saying you haven't notified your insurance company that you have things at the center.
I'm not sure, we're not sure on
All
that,
right.
so we're checking
That's
with
a-
them.
yeah,
We
good
know they
concept.
know about the Old Town Meeting House and the
Right.
things there. So I've got Tom down, he's
Okay.
our treasurer, and he's working on that, so we will.
Should
have
be a
to-
relatively easy.
But you've not been able to find an actual agreement,
I
like,
don't think.
I don't
like
think-
what
I
we're
believe
looking at
we-
right here.
Right. We have it for
we
the
did-
Old
I
Townhouse.
don't recall us doing
An
an actual
agreement.
agreement for
Right.
it.
And and that brings up some other issues that we don't have all the space that the library used to have. Because the center took over that little office space. and
Oh,
that's
because we
become-
didn't have an.
And that's become we've had some issues there with interruptions and that type of stuff. But we can discuss that further, but I do think we probably should start working on an agreement
Yeah.
Right,
for the center at least.
for that space too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was just one other thing on the townhouse agreement. There's a clause in the townhouse agreement that says you can give us 30 days notice and we have to vacate. We'd really like to stretch that out to 90 days at least. I don't think we can get everything out in 30 days with, so, and I don't foresee it happening, but I'm just looking in the future for the
I
society.
think that would be to look at that agreement and then make the change, and we could put it on the agenda.
Yeah. I just
Yeah,
wanted to
Just, we
mention
can't do that
that.
tonight, but we could.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't expect it. I just wanted to mention that we had we kind of opened a can of worms here with agreements, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Because we can get it all put in place.
Why don't we just redo it and have one agreement that covers all?
the different locations.
All the locations,
And
we
that way
can do
it's
that.
all worded the same, because
Yeah,
what Melanie was talking about doing a 1-year thing, it still has to go to the voters. So
Um,
it can't really automatically renew because one legislative body can't bind another unless you do a
Perpetuity.
perpetuity article, and then somebody can turn around and petition it to change it. So I don't know
Well,
if
that's-
1 year is gonna make a difference versus 3 years.
Well, because that's what we have with the food pantry.
Right, you get into the perpetuity article.
Right, and after
Which
so
is
many
fine.
years, it turns into perpetuity.
Right, and then what happens is somebody has to either bring a petition forward or something.
And then, remember one of the other issues too with letting another group use town property was Jack Sutton was always a stickler for wanting to know essentially what the cost might be for the electricity, for the heat, and there's not gonna be a great way to separate that out. But because essentially what he wanted the citizens to sign off on is that this is a donation,
You know, well, that's what we did with
right,
the
to
food
the
pantry.
city, right.
We donate the electric and
Yeah,
Exactly. So I think we definitely have some workability, but we probably will need to pull all the agreements together and coordinate them into one document. And do you think it really won't make a matter if it's 3 years or 5 years, because with perpetuity, we just have to every year re-up the.
And I think if you got one agreement, it makes their insurance easier too, because they can get insurance for just location that they're using.
Right,
Right, because that was one of our thoughts too, was, okay, we have something in the center right now, but we take it down to the old townhouse and, you know. I mean, so if we could do that, that would work nicely.
so do you need this before you start moving stuff in? That was one of the issues we were.
That
talking
was
about
one of
last
the
meeting.
issues, I personally, or the board personally, doesn't have a problem with moving stuff in
Okay.
without an agreement in place. But it, you know, the town might.
because I think my only fear, Sharon, is what if something happens and you have stuff there and it's not insured, because it's still sort of in limbo. So,
Do you have
Insurance
insurance?
currently?
We currently have insurance,
You do.
yes. But I've asked Tom to just look into what,
My
Just
my
see
guess is
what
it's a contents policy and it's covered wherever you have them.
I am assuming that,
But
it was
I'd
done
be
a long
surprised
time
if it
ago,
were
and,
It's something else I wanted to check into with MMA, because that's our insurance system, right?
Yes.
Because technically, I think the stuff when it's in the center for all seasons, it's basically on loan to the town. So I think
They won't,
even if it's on loan to the town,
it's not really on loan, it's a separate organization that
Right.
owns the content, so MMA absolutely will not cover it.
oh,
and
can't cover
even
what you
though,
don't
you
have.
know,
Cover
and our bylaws have as a dissolution, paragraph in it, that if the society stops, the town owns everything we own.
Right, but until that point,
Until
the
that point.
society still owns it,
right?
yeah,
You can't insure something you don't.
because I did ask
Right.
MMA legal that.
Right, that's what we just, with the
Yeah.
sale program.
But how do museums that take stuff in on loan insure something in their museums?
It's probably covered from wherever it's being loaned from.
Sending
On loan.
museum, yeah.
Well, sometimes it's
Yeah,
just.
I mean, you do
private
have,
people.
there is a coverage called Bailey's coverage, which I took my license exam way too many years ago. If you have your car at a, auto body shop and it's being worked on and the place burns down, then they have most likely have responsibility because it's under this thing's called Bailey's, because you've taken it there to have work done on it. But, I would be surprised that that type of coverage would cover here, but your insurance agent, that's. They deal with commercial stuff all the time.
So,
They should be able to answer that quickly.
so Tom's looking at that, is that correct?
John, yes, he's gonna be looking into that.
So he'll be gathering more information.
Right,
Adjusting this agreement is fairly easy,
Yeah,
just if we're going to change the term and then add all the locations.
locations.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Bill sent over the Word document, so we can fix
Okay.
it.
Do you want to table this to next meeting so we can look at putting all of them together? Or
It's fine with me. We're not gonna do anything for the next month or so anyway, because of the holidays, you know.
I mean, the holidays and the snow and the cold.
Yeah, right, exactly, all of that. The only thing that if we could figure out, and I know Corey can help me with this, is just the measurements of the space,
Yeah,
which we need for the agreement anyways, but also we're going to purchase some shelving and that type of stuff to
Yeah.
put in there, so I can catch up with Corey
Yeah.
and work on that, just, and then by the time we get that, then we
so
should.
why don't we postpone this tonight, table this tonight, and come back next meeting if we have it ready? And then work on all of it together. Okay,
Sounds very good. So is that a motion?
that is a motion. I move we table this until the next meeting.
I will second that.
All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, that's 4 yeses. Okay.
I have a quick
New-
question. I have a quick question on that because the Senior Resource Committee also uses the space down in the cellar. And I just want to make sure that some of our space is still going to be available to the Senior Resource Committee.
When we looked at the space, Mary, we took that into consideration. And the space that Corey and I talked about us using is more towards the front of that room. So yes, we were aware that you had things there.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sharon.
Yep.
Okay. So moving on to, I move we open new business.
Second.
Okay, so appointments. Our first appointment is Penny Morrell to the Senior Resources Committee. I think Penny's online.
And he's here.
Penny's here.
Online.
Wait a minute. I'm like, who's hiding behind Sharon now? Okay. So, Penny, we all know you. Anything you'd like to say about wanting to join this committee?
Can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can now.
Hallelujah. I don't know what went wrong last time. No, I'm of the age to to qualify for the Senior Citizen Committee. And I just hope I can help somehow. I saw their booth election day and signed up, and so I'd like to give back to Belgrade.
All right. So I move we appoint Penny Morrell to the Senior Resource Committee.
Second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Congratulations. Come see Mary on sometime,
No.
not tomorrow, to get sworn in.
Thank you, Carol.
And so we look
Okay.
forward to Penny joining the committee and what she can bring to us and to help us out in providing services to the seniors. Thank you, Penny.
Thank you,
Penny.
Mary. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Hopefully we'll do great things.
Okay,
We will.
all right. Jim, you're up. The next person is to appoint Jim Smith to the pickleball subcommittee of the Belgrade Parks and Rec.
Is Jim under the,
Jim
Yes,
is the.
hi Carol and everyone. I don't understand why you don't see my video, but I am here.
you have a little button there that says shut your video off or put your video on.
Yes,
Should be in the lower right.
but theoretically, my video is on and the button only shuts it off, but it's already shut off. So that is my problem. In any event, you can tell I'm here.
Yep.
Okay, I know your voice, Jim.
Thank you.
Are you way out west or have you returned back?
No, I'm east. I'm in Arlington, Virginia.
Okay, all right, okay. So, would you like to just tell us a little bit about why you'd like to be in this committee?
Sure. Thank you all. I, along with Lisa Wells, am a co-chair of the Friends of Belgrade Pickleball and Basketball. And I see that our treasurer, Linda Brown, is also on the call by Zoom. As you know, as I think you all know, we've been trying for 2 years now to raise funds and increase interest in the establishment of a pickleball court, which can be converted to basketball, outdoor basketball courts as well. Possibly at the Center for All Seasons, where there is a designated spot. We're open to other possibilities as well. In any event, I look forward to continuing to work with the Board of Parks and Rec and with the Select Board to bring this home so that the town will have a permanent outdoor pickleball court and hopefully basketball court as well.
Okay, anyone have any questions of Jim? I move that we appoint Jim Smith to the Pickleball Subcommittee of Belgrade Parks and Rec.
Second that.
All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so welcome aboard, Jim. You will need.
Thank
to
you very,
contact
thank you very much.
To get sworn in, so this is your early Christmas present, getting to be on the new committee. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I don't have Linda Brown, do I?
Yeah, it's in the packet. It was the first one. You got mine?
I don't know, let's see if I took it off in error. Wouldn't be the first time I did that. Oh, here it is, yes. Okay, next one is to appoint Linda Brown to the Pickleball Subcommittee of Belgrade Parks and Rec. Linda, would you like to tell us why you would like to be on this committee?
Yes, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can, yes.
Great. I was there a couple weeks ago and again, I just want to reiterate that I've been playing for a couple of years. It's been a great opportunity to meet new people. It certainly is a great way to stay healthy. It's fun and it's just great socialization for everybody that plays. So that's why I want to continue and I want to help build the courts right at the Center for All Seasons.
Oh, okay. Anyone have any questions of Linda? Okay, I move we appoint Linda to the Pickleball Subcommittee of Belgrade Parks and Rec.
Second that.
All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so 5 yeses, welcome aboard. You'll need to come see Mary, not tomorrow because we're closed, and get sworn in.
All right,
Okay.
will do. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
and then our next person is Victoria. Is Victoria
I'm here.
available? She is.
Victoria.
So, Victoria is, looking to be appointed to the Board of Parks and Rec, not the subcommittee. Would you like to tell us why you'd like to do that?
Well, I worked as the assistant director for 9 months last year. And one of my goals was still to be part of Parks and Recreation. So community is very important to me. The programming and the events that we host are very important. And I just want to be a part of that and help.
Okay, well, we are glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions of Victoria? I move we appoint Victoria Alexander to the Board of Parks and Rec.
Second.
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yeah, I just want to make sure this went through the Board of Parks and Rec.
It did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't
Okay.
want to step on anyone's toes.
Okay, so, welcome aboard.
Welcome,
Need to
Victoria.
come see Mary.
I will do. Thanks.
We, appreciate your help. I know you helped out on the Christmas stroll, so that was wonderful. Okay. And then the other piece, Lorna, you were just giving us.
To appoint, I haven't appointed this one. The board can do that, register of voters.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I move that we appoint Mary Vogel as the registrar of voters
I'll
for the
second
town of
that.
Belgrade. Any discussion? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. One more renewal on your list of things you do for us, Mary. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
thank you, Mary.
Okay. The next item that we have is the library ordinance change request. So.
Should we open that item?
I'm sorry?
Should we open that?
Second.
Oh. Okay, I thought we opened new business, so. Okay, who's here to present or the whole board?
My name's Stu McConnell. Susan Reiser, who is the chairman of the board, was not able to be here, but I do have a statement that she wanted me to read. Whoop, going on. The trustees of the Belgrade Public Library respectfully request change in the ordinance that covers the number of required meetings for the group, currently 10 meetings per year. The reason for our request is twofold. One, we simply do not need so many meetings to deal with our regular business. At least a couple of meetings each year have agendas that are light on significant business. We feel that we can more meaningfully conduct the work of the trustees with fewer meetings. She says roughly every other month. Number two, fewer meetings will help us recruit new members to the board. Our current meeting structure makes it difficult to attract good candidates, especially as the trustee advisory boards of other towns, area towns meet much less often as the Belgrade trustees. For example, Oakland Advisory Board meets only 4 times per year. Many thanks for your consideration on this matter.
Okay,
Yeah, as for the actual language, in our ordinance, on the second page, it says regarding meetings, the library board of trustees shall meet at least 10 times a year, on a regular published schedule, time and place to be established, by the board and posted on the town website, and we would like to change that to the library board of trustees shall meet as necessary and on a schedule determined by the board, and notice of all meetings shall be posted on the town website.
okay,
Just gives us more flexibility in regards to exactly how many times we meet a year, and doesn't leave us, like, there have been a couple years I know where we have been less ready to cancel like a meeting because we've already canceled 2 meetings in the spring.
oh,
And so it's already come around and we're back into winter and like,
And you're counting,
And-
and you
yeah.
gotta do the 10 and.
yeah, exactly. We gotta do the 10 to meet the requirements of the ordinance.
Yeah.
And it is an ordinance, so we, try to respect that.
Mhm.
And
Okay,
so, yeah, we have to bring it before you and it has to go for
for the residents, yeah.
the residents for.
Bruce?
So most committees in town have a requirement to meet one meeting per quarter. So 4 meetings open does with their trustees, so that's usually a minimum for any committees in town is at least 4 meetings a year.
Barbara?
I just have a question in terms of, board members knowing ahead of time when they would be expected. Would you think to have the meetings on a regular day and time, or would you
Yeah.
swap them from meeting to meeting on different days to make it easier for people to attend, or what's your thought?
I think we would still probably stick with like the first Thursday, every other month. It's probably what we would go to. And, yeah, the Friends of the Library also went from having, they were having like 12 meetings a year, just recently down to now 4 as
Yeah.
well. So.
Okay.
I think the wording that Jared proposed there gives us the most flexibility. I mean, if there's some hot issues and we wanna meet twice a month for, you know, we would have the flexibility to do that.
Right.
It's just kind of, allow it to be driven by the amount of business that we have to.
That's
I mean,
right,
when Barbara was on there was this whole rewrite of the
Ordinances.
ordinance and the policy and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and that was.
We were busy.
Yeah.
So
But
now you
thankfully,
can
that's
post.
done. I'm not gonna do it again.
Okay. The board have any other?
No, just, and I know it says notice of all meetings shall be posted, but just so it is posted well in advance on your town website so that people who are interested, probably not, we probably don't get a lot of walk-ins, you know, just in case, just in case.
But yes,
So, to Bruce's point, Jared, is it okay if we were to do the library board of trustees shall meet at least 4 times per year? Or a minimum of at least 4 times per year?
I'm fine with at least 4 times per year.
As an.
This was-
Determined?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
So what would the exact wording be? We
Shall meet.
So I've got the library board of trustees shall meet at least 4 times per year as necessary and on a schedule determined by the board. The notice of all meetings shall be posted on the town website.
So,
I'd be fine with that. It sounds like, looks like our board.
It's a good compromise, it makes sense.
okay,
We just weren't sure if an ordinance had to have. If the ordinance was the proper place to say how many meetings a year or something, that's.
But I think if we say at least 4, then that
Gives us a lot
accomplishes
of
once per quarter, it's in line with all of the other boards and committees.
okay. So I move we, accept the request of the ordinance change as amended this evening. And to, then go before the voters in the warrant. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay,
Yeah,
and now it's time for discussion?
yeah,
Okay, Barbara, are you wondering about the wording, the 4
No, 4
times?
times a year as necessary.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
exactly where I was too.
Yeah,
Because I get the intent and I think we're in the right direction. I think we need another word
Right.
in there. Or 2.
you read my mind.
Yeah.
okay,
I'm not sure if this is exactly, because I don't want to take away from what you're doing, right? So.
Yeah.
Just spitballing, the library board of trustees shall meet. At a minimum of 4 times per year,
At a minimum, yeah.
and then
And
the
on the
necessary
schedule
part,
determined.
something like that.
Yeah, because if you say at a minimum, then they can have one every month if they want.
If they
to.
want.
right,
And so take out as necessary.
I believe so.
And keep the rest and on the
Keep the
schedule.
rest.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Yes, yes.
That's fine, that's fine. Not seconding it right away because I was thinking about how to.
The intent was
That's the
there, it's the wording.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we get rid of
Yes.
as necessary, the
Yes.
word and, so then we would have 4 times at a minimum 4 times per year, comma, on a schedule determined by the board, comma, the notice of all meetings shall be posted. Like, do we need to break that up at all? Should we have a
I'll
minimum?
get to that.
4 times
Okay,
per
Bruce?
year?
Before you guys figure this all out, this is already written in several
Right.
committee ordinances already, just, all you gotta do is go over the other ordinances of committees, and basically what it says is, you have to meet a minimum of 1 meeting per
Per
quarter,
quarter, I was gonna say.
a minimum, that's it, and then it gives you the opportunity to do more meetings if needed.
And that's where we are with it right now.
Yeah,
Well, we haven't said a minimum per
the
quarter.
minimum of 1 meeting per.
One
quarter.
meeting per
Oh,
quarter.
1 meeting.
4 times a year could be
Yeah.
June, July, August, September.
Yeah,
Right.
or the first, second, third, 4th weeks of each month.
The committees all should all be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's written one way, it should be.
Right, the cemetery, the cemetery ordinance, it's in the cemetery ordinance, and the transfer station ordinance. It's in, in pretty much every committee ordinance I know, that I'm involved in.
So if we bring the language
need
back
at
to the
least one-
next meeting,
one
just to tidy that
Right.
up, that
Yes,
still gives
we
us enough
can.
time to
Yep.
move it forward and for a time for public hearing.
No, and it's already.
Well, if we've got to, I think we've got to have everything wrapped up for referendum by the 14th.
Right, so you can do it on next
Is
meeting.
the 7th, so you'd have to have a meeting and then schedule a public hearing, and
Yikes.
you can't do that.
Let's just do it
You
now.
can't do that before the 14th if you're not meeting until the 7th.
Mary, Mary, do we have to have a public hearing before that's determined? Because my understanding was anything that went on the referendum, which would be this ordinance change, unless we put it on the floor. We don't have to have a public hearing before we agree to move an ordinance change forward, do we?
So the public hearing is, we've been historically doing it 30 days prior to the election. So
Okay, and so we don't have to have it in January. We just have to have this
So
language.
anything that's a referendum article, you should have confirmed. So the language, of the referendum article should be confirmed by the 14th.
Okay, that's what I was saying, is if our meeting is the 7th, we don't have to have a public hearing before the 14th. We just
No.
have to finalize the language on the 7th for what we're gonna move forward.
Right,
And then this would fall under the same public hearing as the other referendum articles.
right.
Okay, so let's just get that language from the other committees.
Get it from the other committee and
Sure.
we'll vote
I mean,
on
we
it
could
January 7th.
probably pull it up online, but then that would take time.
It would take time. Yeah.
So we've had a motion on the floor and seconded, then we've had discussion. So
Right.
what's the proper procedure for us at this time?
At this time, we should
Table it.
table it.
Should be a motion to table.
So what we need to do is we need to
Do we need to-
rescind. Who seconded?
Barbara seconded.
Take a
Oh, no, we
vote.
don't have to
Don't
rescind.
rescind
it,
We
you
just
vote
take
on
a vote.
discussion.
We just did discussion.
Yeah.
So we
We
can
didn't
just
take a vote.
table, right?
And I think they're gonna find the language so you can finish it up tonight. Right?
Yeah, we're digging for it.
Ryan.
Yeah, it's,
Okay,
Cemeteries
so
is online, I didn't see the transfer station one online.
No, I'm not aware of any other committee that has an ordinance that says to meet a minimum of 4 meetings per month. I'm
No,
pretty,
Per year.
Like one per quarter.
I mean, per year, sorry, per year. And so I'm not aware, there's no other committee that I know of. There are bylaws for other committees, but there is no
Bylaw.
other committee except for the library that has put the meeting requirement into an ordinance, which was done way back in, I don't know, 2004. They put that into an ordinance. I'm not sure exactly why.
Is there a place I could look in the committee binder, Mary? A
Well, we
specific
can look
one?
in the committee binder and there's bylaws, but there's no ordinance that I am aware of in the past 20 plus years
Yeah,
that
I mean, we
says,
both thought an ordinance was odd for this, but.
Yeah, I think.
Right. right.
Just ask-
So it's the library committee solely that has an ordinance that sets the meeting schedule.
Okay,
So would you change that ordinance to change it from the meeting schedules from the ordinance to the bylaws? Is there a way you can write
well,
that
you
in?
could just take the meeting schedule out of the ordinance and we could just write it into the bylaws.
Right.
There aren't bylaws, they're policies, right? Policies and an ordinance.
Right,
There aren't specific bylaws, as I.
right, and like the bylaws are written entirely into the ordinance, correct?
Right,
Like
and
we-
so I agree with Dan, take the meeting schedule out of the ordinance itself and make it a separate entity. Yeah, I agree with Dan completely.
Yeah, to be easy and cleaner.
so why don't we table this and come back to our next meeting and vote on it at our next meeting, so it'll be ready for the warrant?
Cause even if we just take that out, where it's a change.
We
to-
still got change, we've got to do some work. So let's do that.
And so does that include everything? It's a whole,
So,
section 5 meetings, then it goes A, B, C, D, E, F.
so
So all of that comes out?
I might say this year, change this one thing. And then perhaps next year, since it's much less of a time crunch, we address the fact that the laws are all written into.
Right, that you
ordinance.
set up bylaws and take it out of an ordinance.
Right.
See, you thought you were done.
We have
Okay.
something to discuss.
Okay, so I move we table this for our next meeting and we get worked out how you want to handle it.
Okay.
And then
That's fine.
we'll come back to the next meeting and move forward.
So when Mary and Mona do some research.
Melanie is seconding my request to table. Any
Okay.
discussion?
No, move on.
All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, so we will revisit January 7th, 2025. Peter?
So with the previous motion that was seconded, then we had discussion, is that just hanging out there,
That's just-
or do we have to do it?
You never voted, so it's.
We tabled
Didn't
it.
go
so it's
anywhere.
there.
Okay, I just wanted to ask.
Okay. Phew. All right, the next item is the assessor agent services. Lorna?
So
Pretty
we
straightforward.
put this out.
So we'd love to stay.
We'd love to have you. Write this, so you'll have it ready.
You can vote now, Bruce.
Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
Can't hide back anymore.
No.
I'm gonna
Thanks.
move.
Okay.
So we put an RFP out for assessor agent services. RJD currently serves in that role, and they were the only proposal received.
Mhm.
They did give a 1, 2, and 3 year pricing tier. To give you an idea of what it would cost, not just the first year, but if we did the renewal. And all of that is included for your review. I've also included a copy of the current contract which expires the end of this year.
The multi-year contract, what do we have to do?
We have to have a warrant article
Okay,
for multi-year.
okay. Any discussion on? I mean, I think it's,
Did we let Rob know we were discussing this tonight?
Yes, he was on his way home from Florida.
I'm curious, if you don't mind, what's the level of effort annually that RJD appraisal does to earn this much money? I mean, how many hours worth of work is it we talking about?
He's in at least 1 day a month. And sometimes more than that. When they did the factoring, they had several people in here for several days working. And it's really a specialized career. You have to be very knowledgeable, you have to do continuing education credits with the state to be certified. It's quite a specialty area. How about that? Kind of like our code enforcement.
And treasurer.
And treasurer, yes, but it's like, right, so you don't want just somebody off the street, because they could really make a mess of things.
well, he does do work during the month, he's just not here in
Yes.
the office doing that.
Well, he does come in and meet
Right.
people, we have a binder out front and people make appointments and, come in and see them if they have a question, et cetera. He just files all of our paperwork, right?
Mhm.
Does.
Yeah, no, I'm saying he does more than show up 1 day a month to earn $2,500 or,
Oh, yeah.
so I mean, he does a lot of other work,
Maps all updated and. he's
Yeah.
responsible for all of it.
but he is available to the public, so, as
Yes.
well.
Okay, and I don't doubt the service, it's not that, I was just trying to understand the level of effort it takes
Yeah.
for this money that we're spending, or is proposed to be spent. So,
And so I just want to know, he does come in the springtime with a number of individuals from his assessing committee. Anyway, and so there are a number of them that do go out into the field to do all of the updates. He's also, as part of that, he is also doing what is called WinSketch, which is an additional service that will provide a sketch of all the new buildings on the properties of all of 52 maps, which is quite excessive. So I know that he had a gentleman in today, and he did actually 30 of the wind sketches, which provides the code enforcement officer with information regarding the size, the new building, and provides us as well as any real estate agents about the details of that building. So just thought I'd
Okay.
And that's
Thank you.
something new that they're doing, is using WinSketch.
Okay. No other questions for me. I just
Okay.
was curious.
So,
I make a motion that we approve the contract with RJD appraisal and the amount of year one for $28,750, year two is $30,000, and year three, $31,250. And that takes us from January 1 of 2025 to December 31 of 2028.
okay,
No, 2027.
Yeah, those-
2027.
2027, I'm like, wait a
minute,
okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second that, okay, any more discussion? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses.
And before we move on to the next thing, just so you know, while you had a discussion on that, I did look up. The cemetery ordinance does have the meeting requirements of the cemetery committee.
In the ordinance.
The ordinance does,
I'm pretty sure the transfer
It says
station
orderly.
is, it may be
It
in the
does say
bylaws.
one-
It is a orderly, and it is in the ordinance, cemetery ordinance.
So we could look in the cemetery ordinance.
Ordinance,
for
just
language.
copy it.
And if they want to keep it in the library ordinance.
Right.
So, I mean,
That's why I grabbed this and like, did we put the ordinance?
I looked online on the town's website.
okay.
I'm pretty sure it's in the transfer station.
And are those the only two committees that have ordinances?
I really don't know. It's only two, I'm
I
involved in
think
it.
so.
yeah, I would stand corrected then.
Mhm,
Yeah.
okay,
So,
okay. All right, our next item is the Humane Society contract. This again is pretty straightforward. Our contract will expire December 31st. The new contract is listed. Our contract charges go from $1.75 per capita to $1.88 per capita. So it's an increase of $414.57.
Did we check with Waterville? We always used to ask for
I
it.
don't think we go there. We don't,
We always did.
we had this
We used to,
discussion
yeah.
already once,
We
right?
used to go to Waterville, but for some reason it wasn't a money thing, it wouldn't take us
like I
anywhere.
said last time, they weren't taking us there, we didn't have the
You
option.
you can't even get anybody to respond from there.
Mm.
At all.
I've had a lot of luck with it. Virginia Demus is doing a great job up there. And we've always reached out to both to see who was gonna give us.
Right, I mean, this time we didn't, like I said, last time they just, they were available, this time we didn't check, I don't know.
Since our contract expires December 31st.
Well, the other thing is the mileage is a lot shorter to Augusta than this Waterville.
It's more
Especially since they
convenient.
moved to the side of Augusta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's a nice facility.
Beautiful
From the
facility
It
there.
does look beautiful.
Yeah.
I've been in.
Yeah,
Of course, I brought a dog bed, a dog crate, and some blankets over there, and they said, we don't want your dog bed, we're new, we don't need them.
Oh,
And
Oh,
we don't-
really?
We don't want smaller crates, we'll only take big ones. I was like, oh, okay, well, here's my blankets and towels then. And I had to find somebody else to take the other two. I was like, oh, okay then.
Mm-hmm.
So It's like, good to know.
Good to know. So I move we approve the Humane Society contract at the capital rate of $1.88 for a total of $5,995.32. And that is for the January to December of 2025.
A second that.
Okay, all in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Next time.
Yeah, next year we'll check and see if they're. Okay, facilities. Corey, Lorna, where, however. We want to handle this discussion.
So Corey, I don't know if we have an update on the heating system for the lake station. I haven't had an update, but I don't know if you have anything.
No,
No,
that's it, the
not
furnace, the furnace should be here tomorrow.
Okay, good. That's
Part of it's here, and then wait for the stuff to be built, so.
okay, awesome. And then Corey and I have had the discussion about the amount of work that needs to be done at the center. And Corey has expressed concern that if we don't do something for town meeting in 2025, that we're gonna wait another year before anything takes place, and that doesn't help our cause to allow things to go downhill for another year. So Corey, I know you're there, so.
I'm here. Yeah.
There you
Basically, what it boils down is what Lorna just said. Are we gonna do something this year to come up with monies to hire whoever we have to hire as far as an architect or an engineer or whatever to come up with prices and do a bond like was discussed? Or are we going to table it for another year and let mold and rot run for another year? I mean, I'm not trying to be pushy, but I'm looking for some sort of direction as to what are we gonna do? We're at the point where we need to do something with that building or we're gonna lose more of it. The heating system is antiquated, to say the least. The bathrooms are disgusting. There's rot in many areas of the building. I'm just looking to push something forward so we can make a decision as to what we're gonna do.
Bruce?
My suggestion is write up an RFP, put it out to RFP. I mean, you have 2 capital reserves, you have the money enough to put it out to RFP to get something started. And, you know, you're not gonna know till you put out the RFP, so what you get back, what it's gonna cost for architect and engineering. That's your biggest, you know, we all know that's the biggest expense, and it's gonna have to be, but really, my opinion, and, you know, as a contractor, my opinion is it really needs to be engineered. Because there's obviously, we got some structural issues up there. Like Corey said, there's a lot of rot on that north side of it that hasn't been sided yet. And the heating system is the boilers are fine. The rest of the heating system was outdated when it was installed. I've been to 10 different boards and stressed my opinion about the heating system. It is the most expensive heating system that you guys could ever have in a building. That heating system was designed to circulate water around that whole building. 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Just circulate water. I go in on my own in April, and I shut that circulator off. So it doesn't circulate. And then I turn it on when the rec director says, hey, it's getting cool, come turn the heat on. And I go in and I turn the heat on. And, you know, it should be a zone system that when it calls for heat, You know, it's like your house meter, when it calls for heat, an on-demand, it calls for that zone, it only heats that zone.
Right.
Back years ago, that was, last time I brought it to, one of the boards, it was $30,000. Now you're probably looking at probably $70,000.
So,
You
but
know, so that's why I'm saying, it really needs to go out and be engineered, you know, it's way too big a project for me to even think about tackling.
I'm surprised that wasn't a hot air system rather than.
It technically is a hot air system, there's 3 air handlers. There's 2 in the crow's nest and 1 in the kitchen, but they're not adequate.
Okay. And what about the insulation? Isn't there inadequate? That's what I've heard.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
If you end up replacing those hot air units. My wife just had to have both units done in her office building, which is the size of this plus a little bit more. It was $175,000.
Yeah.
it's a lot of money.
Melanie?
So, and Sharon, this is why I was like, hang on a sec, don't leave. So after the last ad hoc committee meeting or during it, Sharon had to sit out for a little bit and she had someone come in from the architecture group from UMA to see if they might be able to assist somewhat with the revamping of the Center Hill Seasons. The addition piece that we've discussed previously, they stated was not a big enough project for them to assist on, and that they already have projects signed up for the next couple of years. But if we could get our hands on the actual architect plans for that building, that they would be willing to take a look at it, because the architect that we were dealing with has ADA compliance background. So I had mentioned to Corey a couple of meetings ago, I caught him out in the hallway and asked if he happened to know where it was, because what Dan thought was in the center was just for the addition, that he didn't have the actual documents that an architect or an engineer needs. So Corey thought he might be able to get his hands on them here in the town office. Have you had a chance to find those yet, Corey?
I have not found the hard copies, but I'm pretty sure what Sheridan sent me was the original blueprints, and I have those right on my computer or in an email. I don't remember where I put them. Computers are like a lost canyon, you know, you put it in there and it never shows up again. So, but I can certainly find what Sheridan sent me.
Okay, because I think if we have that, because any engineer is gonna need that. or
Right,
they're
but
not gonna know what
the original print, last time I knew was in that back office. Where the historical society, in that office area, it was in that back office. It was a big, you and I, you know, I took, you know, and it may have got put somewhere else,
Well,
but that's where it was.
Dan pulled out something that's big and rolled up.
Yeah,
And the architect said, that's not your original. That's.
that's what was given to the town when the building was completed.
So if there's something else, so there was that piece, and then do you mind if I grab the floor just for a second, because we're trying to round robin this? We lost Dan as a member on that committee when he stepped down as rec director, so I want to touch Sharon, because we've got to loop that back around, we haven't done anything for the last couple of months.
Right, I think that the committee and Corbin had contacted me too.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we did well, we started out, I still got all the information on what we saw as things that needed to be done inside and out, not things like the heating system, because we wouldn't have known that, but and there's a lot. But I'm not sure that the committee as a whole had a clear idea where we were supposed to go with it. You know, I mean, yes, the bathrooms need to be redone. Do we bring that and get those done and then do something else? Or, you know, and to do a 5-year or a 10-year plan is pretty difficult as well. When
You were doing fantastic.
yeah, we did. We broke some out.
She was awesome.
And but you know, it's gonna take a lot of money to just get started, I guess I would say. You know, to, like you say, with the heating, the plumbing and all of that. The space in that building, if you're gonna, and I remember last meeting, we talked about a director and another director or something like that. There's no place for them. There's no space for them to have an office, to have, you know, to do that type of stuff. I walk into that building several times a week sometimes. And when I get up on the, like, whatever you wanna call it, the piazza, and I look and I say, why has no one cleaned this? Why has no one painted this? And why is that, log rotting out, or that corner post? There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to that building. And I like the building and I'd hate to see it become another Dalton. But if we don't do something soon,
It's
that's
headed that
what
way.
it's gonna become.
It's headed Dalton, what way the Dalton property is.
The bathrooms are just, I mean, I have not met any person in that building that said, oh, what lovely bathrooms you have. They just.
Well, didn't we sort of run into a chicken and egg, or are we going to make this qualify for a warming center and put showers in?
And we did talk about that.
Or-
too, yes.
Or are we going to build on, for example, in 3 years? And if so, you wouldn't have the bathrooms here, you'd have the bathrooms over here. So are you gonna put a lot of money for the bathrooms here if in, I'm just using a number, 3 years, then you're gonna redo them over? I mean, isn't that part of where,
Yes, that's part of where they.
where everyone's
Well, that's
stuck?
exactly it, and that's where I had suggested if we try to look at the whole project, because initially it was what's the immediate need, but then we were like, well, there's a lot more needs that are not just right here.
Right.
There are some immediate things like some rotten posts and things like that that we should probably address. There's some money left in the reserve account, even after if we take these other projects out. But I just want to be careful that whatever we earmark those reserve funds for, that we don't use them for something else. So I wanted to make sure that we check to see what those were for.
Mhm.
But with having 174,000 in there, that's why I was like at the last meeting,
Well,
if we intended to get these projects done, let's get them done. And
Well,
let's move.
Yeah, we've got about, Corey and I were talking today, I gave him a copy of the, I think it's the 3, 5, and 10 year list that you and I worked on, Corey, is that correct?
I think that's what the name of it was, but I know it's a list of things that we have discussed that need to be done to
Property,
all the properties in town.
yeah, and you're well over 180,000 easy, and that's not digging into additional items that need to be done for
Well, that was
facilities.
what I was saying, like, we got the estimate on the sand and salt roof 2 years ago. My assumption is that we earmarked money in that reserve account to get that sand and salt shed roof done. So I don't want for us to keep letting the project sit for 2 or 3 years. If we put the money aside to get them done, and I know we'd mentioned the ramp at North Belgrade. So I wanna make sure we get the things done that we move this money aside for. And then maybe if some of those things are done, it makes the long-term project less overwhelming. And maybe we paint the bathrooms and spruce it up a little bit while we figure out the whole big plan and then bond.
Well, there's certainly
Whole
some
big
things that could be done.
project,
Yeah, Bruce?
it's a kind of a two-part thing. One part is, you also have the capital reserve for the Center for All Seasons, and that's supposed to be, that capital reserve was established for the maintenance of that building. So you could tap some of that money to take care of some of the stuff. The other thing on that bathroom, I wouldn't recommend putting the showers there. I recommend doing that on the addition. What you can do on that one, you can basically got it. Put new stalls, new fixtures, and so on and so forth in that bathroom. And redo it. And the biggest thing is we've had multiple floods in that building. And who knows what's in them walls? Because they never, most of the time it was never professionally cleaned. It was just vacuumed and fans and dehumidifiers put in there, and that's it.
Okay, so is your concern when you rip that bathroom out, you're going to find another big mess?
Yes, that's, and Corey can comment on this, but this is both Corey's and I's both, kind of scared about it.
Well, but do we want to, I guess on the bathroom piece, because the intention was for us not to just install new plumbing if we don't make those bathrooms handicap accessible, because they're not at this point. So
There's, each bathroom has a handicap stall in it.
you try to get in there and get into that with a wheelchair.
It's an ADA, that is an ADA stall. It's 100% approved ADA.
Because we didn't feel like when we were standing in the doorway that it was maneuverable for someone who had a different ability than we do.
Yeah.
So the intention of the committee.
We
was-
certainly can have somebody come in and look at those bathrooms to determine if they're ADA acceptable. And that's another step in the right direction.
But I mean, I think personally, I mean, you guys are the board, you guys are the decision makers. I think personally, and Corey can voice in on this, I think that you got, you need to write up an RFP and just put it out to bid for engineer and architect, or if you wants to do it, you may want to check with KV Tech. KV Tech I don't know if KV Tech has a program or not. They did have a program that they did do this type of stuff too, but I don't know if
Yeah,
they still do
UMA
it.
just was offering a little bit of assistance if they could, and it was kind of on Sharon's direction. So I think our ad hoc committee is not really done with what we need to do.
But, and there was some other confusion on that committee too, if we can just throw it all in the bucket here. And that is not just the building, but the grounds.
Right.
Because when we first started the committee, our thought was it was everything. So there's problems with, is it Loon?
Yeah.
The
Loon cottage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's problems with some of those little old buildings out there. There's, and I got a little frustrated at one point and with Dan, because then pickleball came up and, well, they're gonna put a court out there, and I said, well, wait, we got this committee that's
Right.
supposed to be looking at the whole thing, and now you're telling me that, they're gonna put the pickleball court up there. And I know that that wasn't a decided thing,
Right.
but, it was like, so it really just got confusing too, as to, what we wanna do with that area, with that whole area,
Well, and part of that will be impacted of if the Dalton buildings stay or go. And it looks now like they would probably go. But to make a decision on where you're going to put anything, you need to know what the campus, the limits of the campus are. And what are the pieces that are going to stay? And if you're going to expand that building, which I personally think it needs to be done, make sure you don't put the pickleball court where you want to expand it. You
Or
need to
parking,
have
or where you
room to
parking
do
or
that.
whatever.
And that's something that,
That's what I'm saying. I think you need to, and you're not gonna be able to put out an RFP next month. You're gonna have to sit down and meet with the rec committee, the ad hoc building committee, and you guys gotta write up a plan, have Corey involved, Lorna involved in it, and write up a plan, and then go out to RFP. And that would be it. So you can figure out what it's gonna cost engineering, what it's gonna cost, engineering of it, and you can get a rough idea of what it's gonna cost to take care of the whole project. And then you can figure out how you're gonna fund it from there.
well, I don't think we have enough information to say, oh, we need a $3 million bond, a $1 million bond. To me, I don't have enough information to vote on
Right,
that.
that's why you got it, it's
But
gonna
I
take.
think we need to get that information together. I guess in the short term, because we're coming up on warrant articles and so on is, do we have enough money put into the reserve fund to get us through with some of these things that need attention now?
Well, like
And
I said, you got two reserves, you got the Center for All Seasons Reserve, which is, it's written in that reserve, that's for the maintenance of that building.
I think we also just want to go backwards and review that, because probably 5 years ago, we determined that each individual reserve account shouldn't be for maintenance because the town was responsible for building maintenance. So I want to make sure that we didn't take that provision out of theirs.
Right, I just know that was a Pacific Reserve made, and it was.
For that
Dan-
building.
Well, Dan can correct me on this, but I think that was a petition. It was a petition reserved for that, because it was supposed to be the extra revenues just going in that capital reserve to help offset that. I'm kind of great, but that's quite a while, that was several boards ago.
So if you look at the history of that reserve is for the purpose of the recreation department, but it has been used for multi-purposes. So that opens it up for multi-purposes, for the use of programs, for the use of the facility, for all kinds of uses. And I have documented information on each year up until probably 2016, which I documented on the use of what those reserve accounts were used for the recreation department. So it's a wide variety of uses and for what that reserve account has been used for. So it's not specifically for the facility, it's not specifically for programs. It's been, it has encompassed everything over the years.
Yeah, so I think what Corey's looking for is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Corey, permission for us to move forward with re-meeting with the committee and with you. And I guess my request is the folks that we set up on the committee initially, we don't have a rec director, and we made a position for a rec director. So I think there was some confusion in town. I believe what I heard was that I was the chair of that, and that I was excluding the Board of Parks and Recreation. Not sure where that came from, but I'm not the chair. I'm simply the liaison, and that woman, maybe not, we didn't name her chair, but she's chair.
Because that's what I do.
Yeah, I don't really think we've done a chair position at all during that whole thing. It's just more like, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. It's been working really well.
Yeah, we were all just like, throw all our ideas right in the middle of the table.
Can I make a suggestion, or I just wanna make sure I understand what everybody's saying? If this committee, the ad hoc committee, gets back together and we include the Parks and Recreation folks, or so the committee chair or whatever, and Lorna, of course, and we come up with a list of things that need to be done to the center or the grounds. Is there money for us to go out with that RFP for the architect and engineers?
You're talking $150,000.
Right, so that's the piece that we've got too. So I guess we have to say, how extensive is this gonna be? We know it's extensive. Is there stuff we can do in the meantime, like?
Because I don't wanna spend a lot of my time or other people's time
Right.
planning all this out if we're not gonna go forward.
Right.
And add on to the building.
We're,
and fix
we're
the-
going to need, just because of what Bruce brought up and what other people brought up, we're going to need a professional set of eyes.
Correct.
Right.
And you know, I can tell you what I think of the heating system, but the new age for efficiency is not, you know, there's other things. you know.
Okay, so what is an estimate of what it would cost for a study?
$150,000.
$150 to do the
What?
architect and engineering?
What was the fire station?
I wanna say it was 175,
So 170,
somewhere around there,
So-
if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
probably around 175,000.
Yeah, it was Sheridan.
So that we need to see is where we get the money to put out an RFP for engineering, but we don't wanna put an RFP for engineering out before we have our list of the 1
Correct.
and 5 year.
Correct.
Right, that's what I was trying to say, you know. we
When
get
they
this-
come in, we wanna say, this is what we need.
Yeah.
Right.
We want this ADA compliant, we want this to be a warming center, we wanna have separate shower facilities.
And
We wanna have consistent heating throughout. We
Right.
want, you know, the air circulation in the gym.
And you want to include in that, the Dalton properties.
The what?
The Dalton properties, the demolition of the development
Right.
properties when you're doing that. And maybe that little shed, I don't know if that's in any use anymore or not,
It
but the
is.
little shed, it is.
Well, there's one shed they're using for storage, and the Historical Society, we don't have an agreement, as a little piece of that we've got
Right.
some stuff in. But, and then there's the building with the bathroom, with the showers, the cold showers and the
the outside bathrooms, which I think is still, you still need an outside bathroom
Yeah,
facility.
Great.
But, me and Corey, also know that needs to be.
So-
too.
So I guess the question is, if you took 75,000 from the Center for All Season Reserve and 75,000 from the Maintenance Facilities Reserve, what does that leave us?
Doesn't leave you much. So that's why I think you should take this to the vote. I mean, I'm just one person. Take this to the voters, and I think you should have a warrant article and either to keep certain entities in town happy, so we don't end up petition. You do it by secret ballot and you put out there, warrant article for $175,000 for.
I would say for an amount not to exceed $200,000.
There you go.
I was gonna say, well, I'd say two.
Yeah.
Up to.
Yeah.
And put it to secret ballot, and that's just engineering and architect, that's not.
Right, that's
That's not the
actual
work.
construction,
But-
but then that tells us, because my thought was, and I know Corey's concern was whether or not we could get something in place in order to get something started in 2025. So kudos to you, Corey, for thinking of this now, so that we're not December of 25 going, oh
Right.
shit.
Right, now, what do we do?
So if we put together a warrant article requesting, there's two parts to this. $200,000 for the architecture and engineering for future construction and updates of the Center for All Season and the properties.
And instead
So
of
we
future,
got
just, I would say for current updates and
And
future.
future.
So that people don't say, oh, that's the future, I don't need to vote for that.
Right, so, but if we had this done in March, and if the voters approve $200,000, and by March, we have our plan in place for what it is that we would ask them to do. Then in June, when we have the school vote, we could put a referendum article there requesting a bond for the total project. Extend it out over
Right.
5 years or 6 years, whatever, so that we can
If you
get
have
the
your
work
engineering.
done and then pay for it.
If the engineering is done, but at
Yeah.
least gives you a plan to work off of.
So there's those two parts, so I
Yeah, you
think
would
that
want
would work if we do it that way, but the
that.
other piece is that. This board set up the committee makeup for the ad hoc committee. And we need to go back and revamp that because one of the members is the recreation director and we need to allow for someone from the Board of Parks and Recreation. To sit on that board. I think Jamie specifically felt like. He didn't know why we didn't ask him, but it was because we picked 5 people. And the rec director.
But we do
So
have.
We do have a
interim.
rec director now. We have an interim rec director now.
We have an interim one. Do we want an interim one or do we want somebody who's gonna be there through the project? So
I think-
maybe
Well, I
we-
think we start with the interim one.
Yeah, but I think you should have somebody from the board and facts.
I think we do as well, because I think this director
Right.
position right now is fluid. And we don't wanna start with somebody, and then in 6 months, we have to start with somebody else, and then in 2 years, when the project gets full swing, we have somebody else on board.
You could
Right,
have.
so the interim person could become the permanent person, so I don't know that we want to leave that person out of the,
Right.
out of the mix. I think I think the interim director should be on the committee, but I agree that somebody from the board should be on
I
the
think
committee
that's
as well.
fine, put them on, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so
Put on six
Yeah.
more people if you want
we
to,
just
but-
gotta go back and revamp the committee makeup. And maybe even leave an extra spot in case there's somebody else, one open seat for any other member. that-
Well, I think pickleball has said, how come we aren't on the committee?
Because they're not, because this was
Uh,
about facility, this
No.
was not about the
I know, I'm
activities.
just saying, but people are asking that question, so.
Well, and I was absolutely floored when it was brought to me that this was how I was being portrayed. And that I purposely was excluding people and I was like, I don't know who is blowing that kind of smoke, and that is not. That is none of it.
So,
You
So
need to
nobody was-
behave, Melanie, on that committee.
so to get your engineering, you're looking, so once you put out the RFP, so once you get approved, if it gets approved in March. If you have the RFP written and ready to go, you can put that out for RFP, get your back by the end of April, you'll be probably. seeing how the fire station's going, I'm guessing you're looking at 6 months.
Exactly. There's no way we're gonna be ready for June.
For June, no.
It's gonna be the next March meeting, quite frankly.
And the other thing is that gives you the opportunity, whoever's the rec director, to start looking for grants and writing some grants. There is grants out there for
Well, that was what
municipality
he said
recs.
about, you know, the bathrooms. He said there is grant money out there. You just have to have people looking for it.
Right, and that's,
Okay, so are we at the point now? So it sounds like what
There you
we're
go.
talking about is we need to get the warrant. We need to get a warrant article together.
Yes.
The committee needs to meet and probably help put that warrant article together.
Yeah.
As the ad hoc committee, and we fill in the committee with the people that we know we want on it.
but it's gonna be back to you guys in the budget committee before the 14th.
Right,
Yes,
Right, I don't think
that's
there's
fine.
time for the committee, I think, is there time for the committee to write the warrant article, maybe?
I don't know.
Well,
I'm
the
pretty
warrant
sure
article
the
be-
people that we have can write that warrant article.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Cause
Yeah.
we're just looking for an RFP for engineering and architecture.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think that we can swing that part of it, but probably at our next meeting in January, we need to change the makeup of that committee. So we've just gotta go back and do that so that we.
And I do think that it might be helpful if we have a chair.
I know.
I mean, just,
How long
I
can we
mean,
do
just
at
so
our
that,
next meeting?
so that if someone says, why am I not on this committee or
Right,
whatever,
you
then
should
you
have a-
have somebody
You
they
should have a
can
chair, assistant chair, and a
contact,
secretary.
you know,
Yeah.
so.
And it may be, this is a fairly, you're looking at a big piece, maybe instead of 5 members, you need 7 or
I
9.
don't think that would be bad to have 7 or whatever.
A swing member, somebody that floats, you know.
And maybe all the members don't need to be specified to be, you know, the A, B, C, and D.
Right,
Well, cause I think what we were trying to do is we were trying to have a balance. We wanted somebody there from the Historical Society and a community member. Then we wanted someone with architectural experience, so we have Corbett. A liaison from the select board, a facilities maintenance director, and a recreation director. The makeup of the committee made perfect sense. No one was excluding anyone, because we were talking about the buildings and the grounds, not the programming. Which is.
Right,
different
and
from
we
Parks and Rec.
expected that Dan would go back to the
Right.
board, you know,
Yeah.
but being the situation we're in now.
And I think the other things that you guys need to think of as when you're doing this ad hoc committee is you pull in generators main. Okay, what needs to be done for electrical, what needs
Because
to
he
be
did
up.
mention that it needed a new generator.
You
too.
bring me in,
Right, well,
what
'cause
needs to be
Dan
done?
said-
You bring Dan's company in, what's gonna be done to improve the, the fire hose if need be, and so on and so
Okay.
forth. And then the sprinkler company, you gotta bring in each company to get stuff.
And
Figure it out.
James from Cabin Masters did say that he would come and look at Loon Cottage with us,
Oh, okay, yeah.
so.
okay, so as far as, Corey, do you have enough? Do we need to put any other money aside other than what we've already done in budget committee and this engineering money?
Sitting down
Are
with
you
Lorna
comfortable
today,
with what we're doing?
sitting
What?
down with Lorna today, we have 174,000 in the facilities budget thing there. I come up with
Right.
181,000 in a matter of minutes of different projects that we've talked about. The roof at the sand salt shed, the parking lot at North Belgrade, new generator at North Belgrade, so that thing stops dying every storm. There's a whole list of stuff.
But didn't we put another 100,000?
Well, we
in?
had talked about were we going to, and so you wanted me to come up with a price of different projects. So I think you guys definitely should approve that
We
extra
need to put that
100,000.
I need
Okay,
the list, just the budget committee and the select board asked for the list, sort of,
Right.
I said, "Oh, we just saw an updated one," because in my head, I was like, okay, there was 174, that's about 100. I just rounded everything up, so I was like, well, that leaves 74 if we get these 4 projects done. And off our plates.
so we clearly need to put that 100 in for reserves.
We just need the list to make the.
Right, which looks like Corey and Lorna put together, so we'll have that when we get together
The
again.
next meeting. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Are we comfortable with our discussion so far? Because we're not gonna solve all the rest of those problems today.
Right.
No,
I would
this is a
say
start.
that if you wanted me to be chair, I would do that.
Well, I think at our next
think it's-
meeting, we have to all agree. But
You have to
I'm
want-
nominating you.
Well, I would just prefer not to have one section more represented. In other words, rec or pickleball, or, you know, and yes, I'm with the Historical Society, but that's just one little room.
Well, I think we tapped you for historical and community. So that's your spot. And chair, and secretary. whatever else you want.
And normally the chair selected by the committee, right?
Right.
That's
The
what I
committee
said.
as a whole
I
elects
said
the
it.
chair.
Okay,
And that's why I said it,
That's fine.
at our next meeting, I'll nominate you first thing.
And you can probably bet that nobody else is gonna fight you.
Nobody will-
Oh,
yeah.
I think they're gonna just, Corey's gonna just wanna
Well,
be.
before it goes to fisticuffs, I'll stop.
No,
Okay.
that's fine, that's fine. I just wanted to be sure we could move.
Okay,
forward.
so just to be clear, the charge or the description of what we're going to talk about considering a bond, the importance of considering a bond for repairs and updates. So it seems like the importance of considering a bond for repairs and updates has has gone back to developing an RFP for
Right.
architectural and
Right,
engineering services as a first step.
correct.
That we're not at this point looking to put a bond together for
That's
this year.
correct.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And then Corey, can I ask, I know you have enough on your plate, but can we go back and look at what the immediate needs were and see if there are Band-Aids that we can do in the meantime until we get to the big project? Like the
Like the
punky,
bathrooms.
well, yeah, like Band-Aids, the bathroom, the punky, corner post there by the kitchen. Is there a way, like, can we wrap it like you do the base of a tree or something so that moisture is not getting to that and causing more damage to it in the interim?
I'm meeting with the guy that changed out the front door tomorrow morning. I will see if I can drag him over there and drag his time out a little bit longer and see if maybe we can cut those posts off and splice in some 8x8 or 6x6 pressure treated to get rid of that rot and then brace them with some metal plating or something like that, just so that that is not appearing to be as dangerous as I think it could be.
Right, and that's what I was like, so maybe if we can cover these things in the meantime, and maybe it's $10,000 or $15,000, then we budget for that while we're waiting for the whole bid project. Just so that we're not watching stuff continually slide backwards while we're trying to get us there.
Well, I mean, and I agree, because there's some stuff that has to be done, or we're gonna lose that building.
Right.
Well, and I think one thing when you're looking at it is to see, what do we do when the heating system blows up? Or doesn't work? To
Well,
be
yeah.
thinking about what those alternatives are, just in an interim.
Yeah, I mean, that air handle is upstairs, if something goes on them, other than a motor, I mean, I can get a motor if anything else goes on them.
We will,
Okay,
we will need to start talking about backup plans for those.
right,
things.
we will.
Just start socializing, so that way we know, oh, when that goes to back up for the next year until we get the other part done. We need this much money to spend for this thing to keep that building going.
Right.
That's what we'll need.
Yeah, I thank you guys for having this conversation tonight, because the list of stuff that I've had that I went through just today is unbelievable. The amount of things that have just deteriorated and not been taken care of in town that we're just continuing to build up cost on doing these things.
Right, yeah, we've got a lot of delayed maintenance that
Yeah,
we're
and that's
still
easy,
seeing.
and that's easy to explain to the taxpayers, same thing like Gary said last night. You know, put this right out in the newsletter, once you get everything figured, put it out in the newsletter, explaining why you're going out for this, what your reasonings are. And the 90% of the taxpayers are gonna agree with it, they don't wanna see a $1 million building fall in because we don't have the money to take care of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Heating system?
What?
We can talk about the heating system.
We did know.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've got some look at it,
Okay.
so. The heating system for the lakes, Dave,
For the lakes.
we've,
He didn't have an update.
Okay,
does
okay.
Yeah, it's just, it's ordered, it should be, the furnace should be here tomorrow, the ductwork. I'll be lucky, probably see that by the first of the year,
Wow.
okay,
but the other one's running, well, you know, it's keeping the building above, you know, when it's really cold out, they'll keep the building probably about 50. So,
okay,
Goodness gracious.
all right. Are we ready to move on to our next item?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Paid family medical leave discussion. Lorna?
So the new law, in Maine that takes effect, January 1, we are required to start withholding. Originally, the news we got was, like full-time personnel, maybe some of the part-time. That has evolved into the most recent information that everyone, whether you're elected or you're getting an annual stipend or whatever, if you get any money out of the business or municipality, then you have to put in to the paid family medical leave. Again, we'll be doing contributions, they have to be submitted quarterly, we have to withhold every week, and the benefit does not start until May or June of 2026. For us, because we have more than 15 employees, the requirement is 1% of wages. So I think it's important for the board to determine if you want the town to pick up the full 1% cost, or if you would rather have that split between employees and the town, 0.5% each. From what I'm seeing, Mary, I think you would agree, what we're seeing through the listserv that we get via email is that most municipalities are doing 0.5% employee paid and 0.5%
Okay.
from the organization.
Wasn't that the recommendation of the budget committee as well?
But there's been no formal
Right,
anything, and here we're trying to wrap up the budget, so I need to bring that to.
my thought is we do a shared half for the employee and half for the town.
Yeah.
Take the recommendation of the budget committee and
So
instead of the town paying the whole thing.
I guess mine is, why would the town not pay the whole? Why would it be on the backs of the employees who may or may not benefit from it if they don't need to take it, but we're taking 0.5% of their pay?
Well,
So
you
I
never
feel like
know, I
if
mean,
this
it's
is a
not,
forced option on the town, I feel like we should cover the whole 1%, and we shouldn't be taking that from the employees.
I don't know, I look at it, the employees, you never know when you're gonna need that, when that paid family leave is gonna come.
Right.
Taking care of older people, I mean,
It is a nominal fee.
yeah. But
They, and of course, I assume. I'm being pessimistic, but the program will either fail due to lack of funding, like the senior tax stabilization program that was short-lived. Or they're gonna find out that they need so much more to run the program because they have so many people taking advantage of 12 weeks off paid.
right,
That they're gonna raise that rate,
substantially.
yeah.
I mean,
One or the
1%
other.
is not even enough, you're not even that close.
Yeah,
You're talking 50,
I think because you can, in my mind, I can see that already because they've expanded from just, full-time employees, to anybody part-time, to anybody who volunteers and gets a wage, any elected official, anybody who gets a
Yeah, so
stipend.
we have to take it out of our large substantial salary.
Same as a volunteer firefighter,
Yeah,
take it out of
everybody.
my salary.
Yeah,
Yeah, 0.5%, yeah.
Yeah, I guess my recommendation would be for the town to just pony up for the 1%. We've got to.
Okay, how's the rest of the board feel? Because we need to make a decision.
Yep.
But, Peter, can I ask, do you know what the state's doing?
I thought they were doing half.
0.5% each.
Yep,
Yeah,
the state and the employee does employ.
yeah.
I'm waiting to see what the discussion is, because one of the representatives just put in emergency legislation to repeal the thing.
To repeal it? Yeah.
To do one,
Okay.
sorry?
Yeah.
To repeal it.
Connor's for us, like, we're not having to put anything in for that. The family of Connor's is paying it.
I think the employees should pay at least half, if not all of them, because voting makes a difference. The people you elect that push these laws, you know, if the town picks it all up, then you're just pushing it out to all the
Right.
voters in town,
Yep.
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I think at this point, we split it, and if it gets really crazy, then we push more to the employee.
Or you start pushing back on the state.
Oh, either way,
Either way,
You
we're both.
start pushing back.
You gotta push back to the state, so you're gonna have to.
but we need to make,
They're making unfunded
It's an unfunded mandate.
mandate, and it's against the law.
okay.
I would
We
be-
have to have, we have to have a decision for Lorna.
Okay, I move that we approve splitting the cost of the paid family medical leave act. The town will pay 0.5% and the employee will pay 0.5%.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. And then we'll see where it goes. Okay, the next item is the foreclosure list. Lorna, where are we? Do we have an updated one here?
It looks like
Yes, Mary,
On your table.
Mary had some folks who, did come in, a couple more, I think, to pay, so that was good. So the new list that you have, this will take effect December 27, so you'll want to have some idea of how are you going to handle those that haven't paid by that time. Because you'll probably want to take some action at your first meeting in January. And Mary did provide updated list, which shows, all of she's contacted everybody multiple times in several different ways, but, there are some folks who there has just absolutely been no response from. And he did send certified letters. We have one that's under bankruptcy. Some of these folks have indicated they would come in on Monday, which was yesterday, which they did not. Or they still have time to come in this week and early next week. But we wanted to get this list to you, so that you were aware.
Does the bankruptcy preclude us from doing anything?
Yeah.
Okay,
And one of them on that list is deceased.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That the last one?
No,
But
they
then
actually paid. They paid today or yesterday.
So if you didn't have a
Yeah, we've
contact,
got an updated list.
okay, if you didn't have contact, I do have a contact for that. one.
And of course, you know that they've changed the whole deal about selling foreclosure property. So you have to use a realtor and all of the funds go to the owner. It's
all
quite
the
a-
excess funds, right?
Quite a process. Quite a process.
Yeah, it's gonna be sold for basically fair market value.
Right.
Anything above what the town's.
So, goes
Yeah,
back
for
up.
taxes, yeah.
Okay. So do we need to do anything before our next meeting? Because there's still time for folks to come
Right,
in.
I don't feel that any action needs to be taken tonight, Mary. Correct. me
No,
if I'm wrong.
I don't think any action needs to be taken tonight. But just to make people aware that, that these are potential foreclosures legally by
Yeah.
law on December 27th. And
Mhm.
historically, the board has entered into contracts and agreements to make payments. So, but there are several people that I have not been able to, so the tax collector job ends at the lien. The foreclosure is the treasurer. So I help Lisa send these out, but there are several, as you can see, that there have been no responses, no pickups. I've researched, I've sent letters, I've tried to message people through Facebook, I've tried to find people's telephone numbers. It's hard to find people's telephone numbers, this day and age when everybody's gone to a cell phone. But there, I think, are at least 4 of them that I have not been able to make any kind of contact with. So, I'm not sure what the board wants to do with those. The ones, I think Lorna gave you the copy that I made today, that I did today. Those
Yes.
people that said that they would be in Monday, I'm expecting them before the 27th, only because they do know they are in a foreclosure status. I'm trying to set up payment coupons for them after they pay that 3rd year for which they're in the arrears, to help them get back on track to make payments to catch up. One is in bankruptcy, as we just noted. They do make payments through their agent, their legal agent, probably once a month. So we can't do anything about that because they have filed for bankruptcy.
Right.
So I'm just not really sure where the board wants to go with this.
I think we need to act on it in January. I mean, let's give them through the end of this, through the end of this till our next meeting, and then I think we need to start to move forward.
Foreclosure process.
Yeah.
And the reason that we went to that was for years, we just let them ride, and people realized there was really no ramifications for if they didn't pay their taxes.
Right.
So that's why, probably 7 or 8 years ago, we were like, okay, I guess we're really gonna have to start doing some foreclosures.
Yeah.
Because you don't pay your taxes, it's what pays everything.
Has the number,
That's when they pay.
And that's what they pay. Yeah.
has the number of people in this position changed at all drastically? Like, if you compare this to last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, is this list of people larger, smaller, the
This
same?
is much different than previous years. Do you,
No.
Mary?
I don't think
No.
it's too much different, but people were more responsive. They were more
Right.
responsive to paying, and we didn't end up in this position.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well, let's see how we end, and we'll have to look at it our next January meeting,
Okay.
Yep,
if everyone agrees.
agreed.
Agreed? Yep. Okay. All right.
Mary, the first one on here, there's no notation, is that the one that paid?
Which one was it?
Ardito?
No, they have not paid.
I think maybe we just missed putting a notation on that one, Mary, because it looks like it's part of the.
Okay. No,
Okay.
that one has not been paid. There is an arrangement with Sean Grant. And I've talked to Sean several times. He did say it's been a difficult year for him. He is in the process of trying to do something with Ralph, and I expect it to be paid. He does know it forecloses on the 27th.
Okay. So the Ardito has been contacted. He's not a no response. He's a contacted.
No, he has not responded himself.
said
That
not
is on
responded.
his, that is on his property
Yeah.
across the street. So,
Right, okay,
Okay, so
Okay.
that's the one across from the post.
yeah,
That,
yeah,
that's that one that he's leasing to the other person?
correct.
Okay.
okay. All right, other business, is there any other business that we need to?
Well,
Yeah.
I just have one quick thing. Sarah talked about, the finance subcommittee meeting on the 4th, and Carol and I did go to that meeting. And, because, as Sarah explained, because there were no minutes that were taken of that meeting, that she would very much appreciate if we send a letter in writing to Carl, just acknowledging what we heard, which is what Sarah stated, which was that according to state law, anything that's over 5% will be returned to the towns.
And then it may take 3 years.
And then it may take 3 years.
And maybe we ask what the time frame is for that. Is it going to take 3 years, or can the town of Belgrade, can we expect that that comes back sooner?
Right, and so when Sarah first asked us to do that, I thought, oh, okay, no big deal. And then as I started drafting, I thought, well, do Carol and I does this just come from us as citizens? Does this come to town stationery? Do we send an email? Do we send, if we just send a note card, then there's no confirmation that we were there with anybody, other than the superintendent. So anyway, that's where we are. Carol and I do intend to send something simple, and acknowledging that, we heard that there would be money being returned.
Yeah, and
to
that we
towns.
shared that with the budget committee, and we couldn't say we shared it with the budget committee and the board.
And the board,
But-
but we were not there, we weren't charged by the board to be there. Sarah asked us to go, she asked anybody to go,
Yeah.
and it just so happened that I had to pick up my car in Waterville, and Carol was driving me to pick up my car for being serviced, and we said, oh my gosh, we could go to that meeting, and so we were there, and so we did, and it was very interesting, but, I'm glad we went, I'm glad we were there to support Sarah. So anyway, so that was just, I thought this would be an easy task, and then as I thought about it, I thought, oh, nothing about this is easy, so. Anyway, we will get something out. And indicate.
So
that-
are you comfortable with us doing it not on letterhead? Since we weren't there as,
Yeah, that's the question.
that's the charge, does it come on town letterhead, or does it just come as an email from us, because we were there as non-appointed, we weren't delegated to be there.
Yeah, but
Right.
yet,
So-
you both were select persons, and you guys chose to go to that. No, you weren't asked to go to it, you guys chose to go to it, so I think it should be on the town letterhead, that's my opinion. That will
Or a
show-
town email account, maybe
Right,
not.
town email
Because
account,
if we send an email, then we can easily include everybody.
right,
Yeah.
Laura Tracy and
CC.
right, and
And
it's,
CC
Sarah and
Tracy.
Sharon,
right, and it's traceable.
and it's
That way-
traceable, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, so that's what, as I was deliberating this, I thought, okay, I think an email from either one of I don't think we need to send 2 letters, but
No,
whichever one of us decides to send it, Carol and I, or Barbara and I
yeah,
welcome the opportunity to.
yeah.
I think that would be
Attend the meeting.
sufficient.
yeah, I think it has to say, I think it should say that, something officially,
Town of Belgrade,
right,
okay, okay.
that's my opinion, I'm just one back there,
Well,
but.
we just, you're sort of like, we wanna operate in a vacuum. We wanna-
And I
People to
wanna
be
thank
aware
you two for going to that meeting,
what
because
we
Sarah's
did.
been asking, I had a phone off me, so I couldn't make it, but
Yeah.
I thank you two for going to that meeting, it's.
Well, it was
No,
really
it's-
hard when we were there at 4:45, we're 5 minutes away, and it's like, how do we say with a straight face, we can't go?
No, and I'm glad we went.
Yeah,
We were
it
the
was
only-
good.
We were the only people other than those sitting around the table.
Well, Trent came,
Oh, that's right, Trent Schuler
Trent was
from
there,
Rome.
and then one of the board members came into the meeting early, but, and I do think it calls attention that we're paying a lot of money and our
We're paying
people are
And we're paying
complaining
attention.
and we're paying attention as best we can.
So I do think it's good to have people from the board at those meetings whenever possible.
I was gonna say, I've got a couple of times, you were
I've
there
been once,
one
yeah.
time, yeah.
Yeah, I went to a full board meeting once.
Mhm. Anyway, okay,
Okay,
all right.
email it is.
Anything else under other business?
Oh, I would like to have on the agenda, maybe not for January 7th, because it sounds like we have a lot going on January 7th of table business. But I would like us to begin discussion on considering changing the fiscal year to July
Oh,
1.
yes.
Yes.
Well, if we just go back to all of the work that Anthony did on that. And the prior, we don't have to
And-
recreate the wheel because we have done yeoman's work on
I
that
think
3
there's
different
information
times.
Denny worked on once, too.
Denny worked on it, exactly.
Because we can decide ourselves. It doesn't have to come to a town vote.
Right.
And the budget committee last night did vote unanimously to go to to encourage us to go to a July fiscal year.
Well, so two of us on the budget committee was on an Accenture that was gonna go to town vote.
We've always had that we did not change the fiscal year for the town without involving the citizens, and that's how the board has always stood on.
Right. So two of us are under the, thought that it's gonna go to the voters.
I think it should.
I mean, I think it's,
We don't have to have the discussion now, I'm just
No.
saying that we discussed it at great length,
Last
night at the budget meeting. And so I just want to make sure that we get it moving.
We get that on again.
Yeah.
Okay,
just so you know, Dan, $135,000 were just in my hand.
okay. Are we ready to go to warrants?
Yep.
Okay. I move we pay warrant number 136, the amount of $20,755.10.
Second?
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, 5 yeses. I move we pay warrant number 137 in the amount of $133,153.51.
I'll second that.
I was like, wait, are you up or is it me?
All in favor? Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. I move we pay warrant number 138 in the amount of $98,643.30.
I'll second that.
Okay, so any discussion that's on AP warrant number 139?
138.
I'm sorry, 138.
I've got a quick question.
Yeah,
The security upgrade, what did they actually do here? For $2,500.
That's just part of the fee upfront to get them here. They're coming within a week or two. They're going to upgrade our camera system from analog to analog and digital, or whatever the term might be,
Okay,
the hybrid model. Yeah.
we don't have the bill yet, but I'm going around doing all the inspections.
I haven't seen anything come through now.
Okay. So I was curious on that, just how much it was, because they went down to the center and inspected the fire alarm system, and I
Yeah.
showed up the next day to inspect the fire alarm system.
Mm.
Because I've been doing it for years.
I haven't seen anything come through yet, Dan.
Okay,
I've seen a couple of
to find out if they're
annual,
more expensive than I am. or-
yeah, a couple of annual monitoring bills, and then, this one for the update.
And I just had one quick question. Let that be the version.
Yeah.
On page 5, Native Notions for planting the maple trees, $935. Was that expense shared with the RSU or just the purchase of the trees?
trees were donated.
Oh,
weren't
the
they?
trees were donated.
Right, pay
Right.
$700 to have them shut.
We had to, they had to be shipped.
Right, but we
Yeah.
shared that with the RSU. So we only paid $350.
Right.
Everything was,
Planting should have been.
But the-
everything was split.
Okay, so that's my question. but they
Yeah,
didn't-
half and half.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, so they would be paying us half of 935.
Yes.
Okay, okay, I just wanted to double check that.
Okay, and then I had a question on page one, the Christmas trees that are 720, but we budgeted 500. So where did the other 220 come from? Because now we're over budget.
I think it was absorbed in that department budget.
Well, it's under social services, so that line item is 500. For the wreaths. And that's what we put in for next year's budget as well, was 500.
I think we increased it. I think we
If
increased.
we didn't,
that.
if we didn't, you may wanna make a
Yeah,
note to
I
change
think we
that.
did. But I'm gonna check that. Okay, is there anything else?
And can I fix the wreath that's hanging from the door?
What?
Can I fix the wreath that's hanging from the door? Because if we just hang it from the wreath, it won't be dangling like that.
But
Go
is it,
for
I
it.
thought of that, but is it a question of being able to see who's coming in and out? Cause I thought the same thing, that it's dangling, and then I thought, well, maybe it's a sight
I
line
thought
issue.
that somebody was like, it's got a hooky hang, so we're supposed to hang it from this hook, and that's why it's so low. It looks kind of silly.
Does look silly, but I thought the same thing, but then I thought, well, maybe it's a security issue, I don't know, in terms of being able to see
No,
where you are.
I don't know if you can actually see anybody out through that.
No, I think you have to be standing right in front of it.
Yeah.
Or just knowing if somebody's coming out when you're going in, I don't know, that was the only thing that I thought that, because it is a little funny the way
It
it's.
does
hanging.
look funky.
You know, because.
I assumed there was a reason.
Well, because
Tori's
there's also
gone, so
just
we
a
can't
big
ask.
magnet. I know, I looked up and I was like, oh, she was gone. Because there's also the big magnet ones that you can
Right.
put up higher that just attach to it that we could reuse that don't hang as low as that one that would get the reading up.
Right.
But we'd have to purchase one.
I think, Mary, you purchased that holder because we didn't have anything, right?
Yes, I did. We
So
could,
are we
ma-
okay? If I
we could
post that?
maybe try to wire it up higher.
Well, and if anybody, I guess if the wreath is moved, you'll know it was me.
We'll know
Is
who
there a
did it.
reason for it, or just? I just had a really long hanging thing.
The wire's long. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded, no more discussion? All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. I move we approve warrant number 139 in the amount of $3,543.25.
second,
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. I move we approve warrant number 140 in the amount of $19,499.26.
second,
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that's 5 yeses. Then I move we approve AP 141 in the amount of $1,846.95.
Second.
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes.
Dan,
Yes.
I'll vote yes, it's 5 yeses. And we are through the warrants. And that takes us to the town manager's report. Which there was one in your, oh,
Spirit that, she's.
okay.
Step out.
So we had a department head meeting December 6th, met with the pickleball committee rep on the 10th. We closed on the Martin property the 13th. We also had pre-audit day with RKO, all day, the 13th. And budget meeting last night, the 16th. We have hired a new deputy clerk, Heather DePass has joined our team, December 9. She comes with some trio experience and great customer service skills. So welcome, Heather, she's been doing a great job. Very personal, very social.
And I saw her on
She's fun.
Saturday. I stopped in at Wicked Good Elderberry and she works there too. So that's how she knows everybody in town.
We conducted interview for the Parks and Recreation Director position along with Jamie Dion and Barbara Allen. We have hired Kristen McDowell as interim director. There are a few details to work out, but she will begin by working several hours through December and then jump in full-time. So welcome to Kristen, and she was in for a few hours yesterday, and we've got her set up with email and all of that. We still have the open position of treasurer to fill. Nomination papers are available for select person and school board. Those were due back January 14. Secret ballot referendum articles need to be ready for January 14. The warrant needs to be done for inclusion in the town report. We're shooting for January 28. The legal version is what gets posted 7 days prior to the meeting. In the event we needed to make changes, we will have the library ordinance changes if approved, the new senior property tax ordinance, and changes to shoreline zone if approved. The holiday luncheon date has been set for December 20. As approved, all facilities will be closed from 11:30 to 1 so that all employees may attend. We will resume department and committee presentations in February as we wrap up the budget and preparations for town meeting in January. Facilities Director Corey Alexander received updated estimates for the sand and salt shed at $29,600. The ramp at North Belgrade Community Center for $17,415, and estimated paving costs for North Belgrade Community Center, $30,000 to $35,000 for the paving, with an additional estimate of $10,000 or more for prep work. Our online GIS interactive map has been updated with the latest tax map revision data. We have had 2 requests for streetlight maintenance. Our contracted electrician does not have the equipment to do this.
Can I ask what the streetlights are and who requested the maintenance?
Anthony requested maintenance for one across from School Street because it's out, and another resident requested maintenance of the one at Castle Island and West Road because it's on all of the time.
Oh.
We own them, so it's our responsibility,
The one
not
on,
CMP.
the one on the Castle Island Road in the corner?
We own all of our lights. I contacted CMP first. They won't do it because we own our lights.
Right.
So that was one of the downfalls of doing that.
Owning it.
So we've got to hire someone to fix those.
Was all,
Was all.
I have
Yeah,
some
that's,
installed.
Because that's who installed them, because there was like, shouldn't there be like a photo sensor there so that they're only coming on?
I'm sure there's, yeah, but they have to fix it.
Yeah, that may have failed or just it could be dirty.
Yeah.
And then we should just look at our contract with them, because it's been a couple of years, but there was a certain amount of maintenance that they were gonna provide at no cost to the town.
Wistwell.
The
So if there's
contract-
something in place, then they may not charge us.
Right,
But they're the ones who are gonna do the work.
yeah, because I know we had to have some extras of things on hand.
Right. Yeah, Corey has reached out to them. And we spoke today and he said that they had gotten back to him, so within a week or so, they'll get those taken care of. So that's good.
Where are you doing the luncheon, by the way? You're,
Right here.
okay, I
Yeah,
didn't. So you're
right.
done.
Yeah.
We need signs. And then how many people show up?
Yeah.
We received notice from MMA with regard to American Rescue Plan funds. The portal is closed until April. No edits can be made until then, so any changes in reporting will be updated at that time. The culvert on Route 27 between the golf course and the opposite side of the road. We requested information from DOT about getting this addressed because they're gonna do that paving project next year and we can't do anything for 3 years.
Unless it's an emergency.
Yeah. Before the paving project next year, so David Allen actually did respond, he had been gone away, for vacation, he's back. They have inspected the culvert and they have alerted the project team of its condition, so that was good news. Main Street and Hewland property, the town owns a small strip of land bordering 101 Main Street. A notice violation for the use of town property has been sent and facilities maintenance has blocked the entry to the town property where the Main Street property owner has installed a new driveway and parking area, which is on town property. The owner has requested.
Is there, the driveway, did they do a driveway permit?
No,
No,
well,
No, so it would come up as a town property.
Right, so is that part of what we were, we noticed that this was expected to be done by May, but I want to make sure that we don't miss that part in there too, that there's a requirement to do a driveway permit and that they also didn't do that. I'd add it to,
I think I
to the list.
I think I sent the letter that Helen sent to me.
Right.
You did.
We
Yeah.
did.
There is a driveway there. If you look at the house, there's a driveway on the left-hand side, but it's my understanding that that's not enough room for the new owner. So they're concerned about where people will park.
You really should
So-
follow that we bought it.
And, yeah, okay, so,
Yeah, just.
Moving along.
Yeah.
Anything that we can be. Cause
Yes.
I'm like, my brain went to, why wouldn't you have done a driveway permit?
Well, if they have an existing driveway, you don't have to have a permit. They're doing it
well,
great.
yeah, and, yeah,
Right.
there is some question that someone was driving over town property and basically using it as a driveway previously, and if that was done, then maybe that was fine for them to do as well. So, I know that they want to speak with the board about it, so I expect we'll set that up for February.
I honestly don't know why we don't just sell them a piece of property and get it on tax roll.
Well, I mean, it's no use to the town.
No,
Right.
No,
Or
you
you're
can't build
maintaining it. Or-
Unless you made it parking, like
Right.
street parking,
Right.
which might be helpful.
we might as well get back the taxes on it.
Are there other properties like that are so small that,
There are, I believe that there are some.
We should look at all of them and see what needs to be done, but
in our spare time?
in our
But
spare
anyway.
time, but
Yeah.
after we get budget and warrant done.
Holiday hours, all facilities close at noon on December 24 and are closed December 25 for Christmas. The town office will close to the public at 11 AM Tuesday, December 31, as we close the books for the fiscal year. All facilities are closed New Year's Day. The transfer station will be open Thursday, December 26th and Thursday, January 2. From 9 to 5, that is in lieu of being closed, those two Wednesdays, December 25 and January 1. And still on the radar, Dalton Properties, the budget town meeting, 4-day work week review, adding a water trustee, the short-term rental ad hoc, I believe we still need one member. The ARPA expenditures, again, the port will be open in April. Monitoring the status for the CDS grant for our new fire station. Center for All Seasons updates, employee handbook and reviewing policies.
There is one thing that, I did want to bring up, and it is, Lorna is doing a wonderful job trying to be town manager and treasurer. I have offered to volunteer some hours that I could, come in and help on things that I know how to do. We did check with, I asked Lorna to check with MMA to see if, as an elected official, I could come in and volunteer to do that. And, Lorna, I believe I'm correct, they said you could do that, but I didn't want to do anything without the board being aware of it and the board being comfortable with it.
Right.
So, your thoughts
You,
on,
you can, because we've had the chair of the board be basically the acting town manager before.
slip my wrist now.
Yeah, right.
But, okay, I didn't wanna, I didn't wanna do anything without people being aware of it, and, but if there's a way I can help in some of the stuff that will, the tedious stuff that,
After hearing last night, I think any help would be.
so, and,
Okay.
if we don't get a treasurer long-term, then we'll probably have to look at some other options, but, as long as everyone's okay with that and aware of it. So,
You go, girl.
yeah, you go, girl. I don't really have that, I have 25 hours today, I don't have 26, I'm struggling with that, but hopefully we'll,
How much y'all pay me? I'll come in, you can make me the treasurer.
okay.
I'll quit my job and come work here. Resign from the board.
Yeah, real quick, back to the opera stuff we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
Right now, we're thinking somewhere around $18,000 that is gonna go into the pickleball.
1,800.
18.
Okay.
Cause at one point you did say 17,000.
Yeah, cause
Oh,
I,
did I?
Yeah.
1,800.
No,
Okay.
they have 16,500, right? In their checking
They
account.
have 19 in our accounts.
So I think they had, I think it's 16,500 that's in the quote reserve account, and then they are counting on this, and then they also have a check account that's got another couple thousand on. I talked to them about the 501c3 and that they really didn't need to do it, but what as the friends, what we had to do as far as acknowledging and so on, so
okay.
that's how I
I
have those
just,
numbers.
I'm just curious now, because
Yeah.
the way you're talking, I was thinking it was 18,000.
No, they have that much money in a reserve, but not
Okay.
ARPA, I think was 1827.
Yeah, that was what we had left after the allocations.
Right.
So that was the
Okay.
decision, whatever's left.
Whatever's left.
All right.
Because we
That's
could,
what I was thinking, it might be easier when you check with whoever to see if we just, us allocating that, if it's gonna be okay or if it has to be spent. It might be easier for Corey, for us to reallocate it to Corey for buildings, and grounds maintenance and pick something that's gonna cost about $2,000. And then when they work on the grounds down there, use $2,000 out of the grounds maintenance, which is gonna go to the grounds anyway,
Oh, yeah.
so.
But I think because it's technically a town thing, like facilities maintenance and grounds maintenance, that we weren't allowed to use ARPA funds for that.
Yeah, you use it for that, you use it for the fire department, you use it for the town ground maintenance.
Well, fire department,
Can't do it for
first
maintenance,
responders,
but you
because
can
that's
do it
what
for
that
projects.
rescue money was really for.
Yeah, I mean, it's a point where you can use almost anything, we use it with town dams, we
Yeah.
use some.
Yeah.
We did
I
that.
just know there's something in there about that.
At one point, it was very
About
narrow.
capital reserve.
it's not interrelated.
It's not anymore.
Yeah, there's a I know it was at the beginning, it was a cap reserve thing, I don't know if it's still
That
there.
they're pretty,
Yeah.
pretty wide open.
Okay,
So we can look at that. Okay. Anything else come before the board? I move we adjourn at 8:56, 8:57.
Second.
All in favor, Dan,
yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie. I'll vote yes. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, these two.
We won't have another meeting until after Christmas.
2025.
Oh, I would love to have been here last